Hello everybody, welcome back in. I am glad today to be announcing that we're flying once again for the Scottish Air Ambulance. So Grantham is usually contracted out to either Scottish Air Ambulance or Lifelight. Today we're taken back to Scotland, the land of kilts and the birthplace of Sean Connery, one of the best James Bonds that ever lived. Today we're going to be captaining the C90B King Air from Aberdeen Dyce Airport, which is where we're parked, from Gamma Aviation. And our contract takes us to Wick, Echo Golf Papa Charlie, and onto Kirkwall, Echo Golf Papa Alpha, and finally onto a closed down, permanently closed airport called Scatsa Airport, Echo Golf Papa Mike, which is well into the north of Scotland, i.e. onto those small islands that are out of civilization basically. Expect realistic flight procedures from pre-flight walk-around to engine start all the way to shutdown. Fuel calculations will be in there, but we'll be using SimBrief. The reason is because we only have a flight plan from here to Kirkwall because the Scatsa Airport is closed. It's not recognised by SimBrief, but it is in fact on X-Plane 12, which I find very peculiar. So yeah, let's bring this up for you. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. So this is obviously this is the radar I use sometimes for weather. The weather is looking pretty rough, I'd say. You know, we got some rough weather there at Papa Charlie. We're planning to track so let's go to flight plan. When I fired it on SimBrief, it actually gave me some of the waypoints I'd already planned for on SkyVector. So we'll be going up to the Wick VOR. We'll be doing a landing at Wick. And then we're going to be going past Kirkwall. Now, this is where the end of flight plan is because there's obviously there's no official airport, even though Scatsa is in fact modelled an X-plane, but Scatsa I believe is up here, and that'll be the final flight, and that'll be about 1 hour 40 is the estimate. So let's get on with it. Let's crack on. I welcome you in. Welcome to newcomers, to regulars. You know, I'm Grantham as usual. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now change those times to 4 PM GMT. And I have to say the Scottish Air Ambulance delivery on the C90B is definitely one of the best. Let's take a moment to admire some of that wear and tear as well. They really thought of everything on this one. You can even see down here those dirt marks. I think it's fantastic. We're only cruising at 16,000 feet. Now we are fully loaded. We've got 7 people on board. Now we're somehow in the plane without the door open. So what we do is we'll crack the door open so everyone can get on board. There we go. Into the cockpit. Now, flight plan is down here. We're going to bring the GPU over. And we're going to do some checks. I already know that, when we come into this aircraft, most of the things are off, but we'll check anyway. Everything is indeed off. We'll get the external power on. So sometimes it takes a while to get to us, and, in this case, we are waiting for the GPU. We still switch the switch on, and we'll click the battery on at the same time. Check the power with the voltage. Yeah, doing pretty well. I mean, I'm expecting to be fully charged with the external powers on. Let's get the navigation lights. Let's do some pre-flight checks. We'll leave the nav lights on for this. So I think I made the mistake last time leaving the propellers on feather. But in the C90B, you have to put them full forward for engine start. So I guess we could, we could do that now or when we're about to start them. Back over here, so we check the fuel pumps. We can in fact hear them, they are audible. Now, you see up here we have different things like oil pressure's low, that shouldn't really be illuminated. Let's check the firewall valves. I don't really know how to do that, that's always a hit or miss, that one. Either way, we will need the fuel pumps on for start, and we can check the auto cross feeds, etc. There's the GPU. Okay, brilliant. What we're going to do then, we don't want to waste any time. We want to get refueled, so we go over to the... Oh, not plug admin. Weight and balance. So we're 7 people today, so we'll sit those in. Now, it does say at the back there, aisle facing storage seat. So I'm assuming somebody can in fact sit on that. The question is who and why. Now, we're taking a lot of people. We're going to estimate everybody at 75 today. Now, we have got limitations on weight, so we can't... Well, we're 76, but that's fine. We can't go over those limitations. We have a maximum ramp weight, we have a maximum takeoff weight, and if you exceed those, you will have problems. I mean, that's kind of a fair estimate on weight, I think. Let's try and bring those down a bit. And then on the back seat, 75 again. And if you really want to check the imbalance, we can do by the central gravity. So we will be outside of the weight and balance there. Yeah, but we're out of that because there's so many people on board. That means we reduce the baggage in the back. So cargo wise, let's go over to cargo on the weight and balance and see what we're expecting. I don't know how we're going to put 7 people on 175 kg of baggage. That seems like too much in there because we're overweight already. I mean, that's in weight for maximum takeoff weight, but yeah, there's no way we would have put 125 in there unless we distribute it. That's going to take us out. Maybe we could put 30 there and 30 there. That's about 60. That's still quite a lot. Maybe 20 each. 25 there and 20 there. I'll have to do that. We are at the higher end, though, of what's acceptable. And so if you want to check the maximum weight and things, we can actually find that on the X checklist, which I find really useful. So here are the specifications, and let's make this bigger for you all to see. Okay, we can't do that, but it will give you everything here. So recommended fuel. You know, we need Jet A because it's a gas turbine engine. Burn is about 280 kg an hour, so this is where things get interesting. If we go back to fuel, 1 hour 40 is estimated. And we're burning 280 an hour. Now, we can calculate ourselves and make sure it's right, but I'm going to just look on here. So, 2 hours worth would be about 300, would be about 600, so... yeah, I guess we got enough on board there. That actually does look correct. And then down here, of course, we have stall speeds. We will be using this. Service ceiling of 28,000. This is what I need to look at. So we look at, like, today we'll be climbing at the best. Probably the best rate of climb because we're going to be fully loaded. So 118 on climb out. And then we have a landing approach speed there of 101. This is all very useful. For those who are not familiar with the plane, you know, maximum crosswind component of 25. We're within limits of the wind. Alright. We don't need the checklist because I've sort of memorised the items to some extent. So that's everybody on board. We've got a little bit of baggage. When you've taken them all to Scatsa, the actual destination is Scatsa. We have got to stop off because we do in fact need to drop one person off, but that's about it. But after Wick, we just fly directly to Kirkwall. So fuel pump's coming on. Can go for an engine start pretty quickly today. Let's check the ground power is on. Yes, ground power is connected. Battery is charging. I suppose we could test that if we need to and reset it as needed. Alright, there we are. And we can put the props fully forward. Make sure to stay where they are. Let's go for a right hand start first. Engine coming live. Now, we are not in contact with ATC because it's not available. I'm sure in time they may come in line. So there we are. We're advancing it. We get our mixture slow idle. This is probably the more interesting planes to start up, you know, these King Airs. The turboprops certainly are. They're a bit more interesting than the jet airliners, I find. So there we are. It's coming live nice and quickly. I don't think we had a hot start, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Now, I'm going to stick the... what was that switch sound? So I stick the tail flood on, but it's pretty light outside. Let's go for a ignition turned off. Let me remember the checklist. Let's get our headsets on here. Left engine coming alive. I think that's a low idle. It seems to be above it, but I can't remember where the sweet spot is. There's the engine coming alive, so it's spooling up. We haven't got anything going into the red. Yeah, that was a really good start as well. And then we just let that sort of settle in alpha mode on the thrust for now. EFIS power to test and on. Ignition switched it off. Generator on the left, resets on, and then the same on the right. So they've actually come alive the first time that time. That's probably because of the manifold thing that we did earlier. Now with engines are on, we can stick these auto pumps on automatic. It should help get rid of some stuff. Okay, left fuel, no fuel transfer. Let's go override a second. Let's just check the fuel levels. So it's all balanced out. Did we refuel or not? No, we didn't refuel. What am I doing? What am I doing? That's actually odd, actually. I never forget that. I thought we'd done the weight and balance. I skipped the bloody fuel. We need... How much do we need of fuel? 600. So maybe I did it. Let's double check. So we have 142. Yeah, we need to put more fuel in. I guess we'll have to shut the engines down. That's fine. You can get the engines running for a minute there, just to warm it up in the meantime. Skipping the gun. I think that's what I've done in the past as well. I forget to refuel it on this plane. I don't know what it is. So we need about 315 in each wing. This is really going to be the test of the weight and balance. Sort of there, sort of isn't. Very hard to get it accurate on this one. That second one down there does not want to go to 15. Have to do 18. Let's check the weight and balance now. Are we out of limits? No, we're actually somehow in limits. That means we can in fact increase the cargo to 125, or at least closer to it. So it looks like we're rocking about 100 kg, which is 25 kg short, which is fine. Okay, well, we can get the engine started this time pretty quickly. So generators down to reset, and we'll go for the right engine again. It's as simple as that, really, the refueling. Spooling up, low idle on the mixtures. Propeller starts to move. We got movement, and should be coming alive. A bit more forward on the mixture, perhaps. This could be because we turned it off, and now we're turning it back on again. Maybe it confused the plane a little bit. That's odd. Fuel pumps are on. Not coming alive. Okay, well, we'll go back to idle on that one. Maybe we do the left engine first. Ground power's still connected. I guess that, like, when we do these things, we do find, you know, these issues which can't be explained fully, but are definitely issues. Like the idea, I think it's an X-Plane 12 thing. Whenever I turn an aircraft off after having it on and try to restart it, like, that's coming alive on the left side. That has worked, to be fair. But yeah, when you try and restart it during the flight, it tends to get confused. It thinks it's the first flight of the day sometimes. Let's go for the right side. Maybe we didn't introduce the fuel high enough. Or maybe we introduced it a bit too early. Let's just wait. Let's do the right side when everything's cooled down a little bit. Let's reset the prop. Right, coming live. We'll wait a little bit longer this time till it gets higher on the turbine. Maybe about there. Then we bring the mixtures up. There we go. Okay, it's coming alive this time. I think we probably just didn't push them forward enough. Brilliant. Transfer pumps, all automatic. Fuel boosts are still on. Fuel is now in the tanks, which is good. We have enough to get us to Scatsa. Ignition coming off. Texture lights, we don't have to bother about them too much just yet. Inverters and avionics, we'll get the GPU disconnected. Now sometimes the GPU will connect to this automatically when you get in the correct spaces, which I like about it. So auto hover to armed, I believe. You can do a prop test, governor test there as well if you want to. So we'll work from left to right. There are people on board, so we need those. We're going to have to put a flight plan in. Air conditioning to automatic. Bleed air valves. We'll open them now. We're going to do the cabin air, the co-pilot air, and the pilot captain air over here. We can also do defrost if we need to. I'm going to stick the taxi light on just in case there's anybody in the vicinity. Ethers power, rudder boost, elevator trims, rudder, flight directors, excuse me, not rudder. And then we set the pressurization. So as I say, 16,000 feet is expected. And we have a step climb to Wick there of 16, then down to 14 and 13,000. So we set 16,000 for now. And the pressurization. That's only going to pressurize to 3,500, which is not too bad. We can in fact test that as well on the pressurization. So you know, cabin pressure dump is up and then test is down. And notice how it's climbing there and it should be descending as well sometimes. So that's tested, that's working. Transponder will go to random code today. Test the system. I think we hold that and then it let's see if it works. Maybe we have to put it on and then test it. Okay, and flight plan and pray this time because the last flight in this was live flight. We had a little bit of an issue with the flight plan down here. So we're going to try the Wick VOR. Now if I go back to Sky Vectors, they'll have the frequency for it. It's not going to take long to get to Wick at all. So it's 113.6. And then to Kirkwall we'll be tracking the NDB, I believe. So that'll be on a frequency of 395. I can put that down here, 395. I believe that's correct for ADF. Good, that's set. And flight plan, so as I say, the airport is modelled on X-Plane 12, so it should be able to detect Scatsa Airport. Now for this mission, folks, we are quite busy today. Now we've got the AEM. We're going to have to look at the charts because Aberdeen Dyce has a few departure airways here and departure directions. I'm familiar with the departure thing, but we'll have a look at the entryways and exitways for the area. So Aberdeen has come up. That's probably because we're going to be tracking outbound from it, so we can skip that and just go direct to Wick. That's WIC, excuse me, WIK. There it is. And then from Wick direct to, of course, Wick Airport. We're not moving, are we? Wonder why, let's get it in beta mode. Let's keep it in beta and just make sure we don't roll, because it is kind of bumping all over the place at the moment. Echo Golf, Papa Charlie. There's Wick Airport. Now, in terms of the arrival, we arrive visually and then we land visually as well. That's the plan. As you can see there, the next one is Cockpit. Cocal. And then from that point, we'll be sort of on our own and just sort of finding out where we need to go visually. Although we have a heading to fly, you know, we have an estimate of things based on the GPS, I think. So Cocal now, Echo Golf Papa Alpha is Kirkwall Airport. There it is. And then Kirkwall off directly to Echo Golf. Not on the flight plan. Echo Golf, what is it now? Papa Mike, that's it. Easy way to remember Scotland's ITOs. It will usually have a P in it, I've found. There we go. So Scatsa is actually recognised on there. That's fantastic. That's going to save us a lot of hassle. How do we get off there? I always forget that. I don't know if that's a bug, but like when you click off map, it should click off of there. Okay, there we are. So we can follow the GPS. If we want to, we can follow the VOR, which is kind of what we're planning to do. So in terms of departure, we have a runway 16. We're going to turn our head into runway 16. which is pretty much the opposite direction to where we're meant to fly. And then we'll just hand fly it on course. And course can't... I can change if I want to. There's no wind data at the moment. Okay, so that's coming on. So energy is powered up in the DC load. That might be why the aircraft was making a strange noise on the engines. Taxi lights are on. Auto feather is armed. Everything down there is good. Let's get the engine anti-ice on for taxi. Air conditioning is on, so temperature is getting towards 80 degrees, which is pretty hot. Flight directors are set. We're going to pre-select the altitude now to 16,000. Usually you could do this like before takeoff and it wouldn't really matter as long as you get it in. Altitude pre-select and navigation as well. Okay. I'm pretty familiar with the airport, so 16 is not hard to find. It's usually back in that direction. Are the engines shutting down? What is happening? No, I think we're just too low on the beta. It does seem to be slowing down a lot. Let's go back out of beta into alpha. In fact, let's put our mixtures higher up, because that's probably why the engine sounds like it's shutting off. That's a bit better, I think. Yeah, so there's runway, the opposite runway we need. We'll go right there, and then we'll taxi to runway 16. I'm going to show it on the map in case anybody doesn't know. 16 is there, so we've usually taxied there in the past, but you know, via Echo all the way around to 16. Okay, let's get going. Taxi lights on, brakes released. Aberdeen Dyce traffic, Golf Sierra, Alpha Sierra Delta, taxis to runway 16 via Echo. Brake check, brakes are functional. Rudder control is good, instrumentation is alive. Magnificent. And we'll get the QNH. We're currently on standard pressure at the moment, but the flight plan will have the local weather as we go out. There's no wind data at the moment, but we only pick that up in the air, to be fair. Right, there we are. We're going to do our turn round there. I think we may have missed our taxiway. Just slightly. Where the hell did we go then? Have we glitched out the map a little bit? No, I don't know what happened. We must have zoomed off. I don't think I'll ever get fatigued. I mean, this kind of aircraft is pretty fun to fly. I don't think I'll become fatigued in it. As I say, I explained, I think flight sims in general are just lacking in the turboprop area. Although we've still got the ACR to look forward to. If anybody's interested in that, just keep the price obviously low and acceptable. I don't think $80 or $90 is acceptable for an add-on plane. That's why these Freeware planes always do best. They're always the better ones to go for. In fact, I'd recommend these over the Freeware any day of the week. Altitude select, so what do we need now? We could probably turn our taxi lights off at this point. There's no other aircraft, we're going to stop short here as well and do a little bit of a pre-departure checklist. Here we are, runway 6, this is Echo 9. So there's two runways here, that's why we're holding short so far away. You'll see that there's actually a 3-4 and 1-6 and then 3-6 and 1-8. So 1-8 is there and then 1-6 is round the other side. So we're actually going to stick our strobes on, landing lights on. Just a quick scan of the instruments again. We're going to go to ignition to automatic. Stall, pitot heats and vent heats coming on. Recognition lights on. Transponded to altitude mode. We've already pre-selected the altitude and the navigation down here on the autopilot. Yeah, jobs are good and we're doing pretty well so far. Just the weather we have to get. So QNH 1012 is pretty much the standard pressure today. And we've got some winds. So wind is 15 knots. V1 91, VR 91. So usually it would be about, I mean, we're going to be climbing today at best rate of climb 118, which is just over the blue line. But it's giving me here VR of about 91. We'll see how it goes. Let's do a flap check. So flap's fully down. Let's bring it out of beta mode. So what we have to do is idle it, then put it into alpha. Now if we go into the charts, this is what we need to do. And we get the airways that I was talking about. So these like entry lanes and exit lanes from the airport. There, entry exit lanes and VRPs, Class D airspace chart. If we click on here, we can see where we're going to be going. So 16 in this direction, we're going up to the north towards Wick initially, which means we can go. I think ADN was our initial plan, the Aberdeen Dyce VOR, which is the exit we were going to take, but I didn't put it into the GNS there because we could actually tune that in ourselves. So we head up. We can take the Pizza Head lane, which is just off to the left hand side. So in that case, we'll have to fly left hand and then, yeah, along the coastline up to Hackley Head. Or we could continue. I mean, that's pretty much the only option we've got, is that left-hand turn to Hackley Head, and then we'll be exiting the area up to Wick, taking that left-hand turn from that point onwards. So we'll keep the Wick VOR active. Alright guys, I hope you're clear on what we're doing. In terms of altitude, you can change your altitude based on what you need to. I don't think there's anyone here. It says there, you know, flight level 19 to 11.5. For ours though, we just want it released. Flaps coming back up. Aberdeen Dyce traffic, Go Sierra Alpha Sierra Delta. Departing runway 16, Hackley Head departure. We're flying IFR, but we're doing a type of, I guess, visual departure. So there's 18. Let's do the GA button for go around. That will probably get rid of our, yeah, it's got rid of our navigation select, which is expected. Last flight control check. Do we need to backtrack? I think we should backtrack just a little bit because we're fully loaded. You can tell the difference fully loaded. We are not in beta, but it's moving slower than it would be in otherwise. So here we are, runway 16. Because we're fully loaded and the aircraft's a bit unstable when it's moving on the ground, we're going to do the thrust first. Mixture's going fully forward. Condition levers are high now. Pump while fuel round. Again, ITT and torque in the green. We'll keep it that way for takeoff. Thrust is set. Airspeed alive. 60 knots. Rotate. There's our positive rate of climb. Let's get the gear up. Let's get the yaw damper on as well. Let's now keep hand flow this. So we'll fly that left hand turn, as I say, to Hackley Head, Peter Head lane departure. So we do a left hand turn. Really good scenery up here, Scotland. I forgot we had Sim Heaven Europe on, but I guess it would make a difference up here as well. There she goes. Landing lights will remain them. Keep them on till a couple more 1,000 feet in the air. Edit mode, we'll change that round to our course that we need. Again, we're going to follow the coastline. And then we'll lock on to Wick. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, this scenery up here is really hitting the sweet spot. Not autopilot yet, folks. Landing lights can come off at this point. We are doing well on speed. I mean, we had a... What do we have there for speed on winds? 26 knot crosswind, so we are actually at the maximum wind limit at the moment. I think the maximum crosswind component is 25 for this aircraft, as we read earlier. But it's alright, it's a good challenge. Again, the torque and the ITT's in the green. We play your dampers on. What else do we need to do here? We could turn our recognition off at 10,000 feet. Everything else is good. Aberdeen Dyce traffic, Golf Sierra, Alpha Sierra is also departed now, climbing through 3,000 feet. And there we are, we're following the coast, folks. So let's turn our head in the right direction. Let's go for a vertical speed, heading mode and autopilot on. There we are, we're getting blown around a lot. 30 knots. Probably could use some aileron trim here, or maybe even rudder trim. Maybe a little bit of aileron trim to the left. Standard pressure 1013. Now the plan is to go to Wick and do a full stop. When I say that, we can just taxi back. So there's the ADM which we were initially meant to track. We could in fact tune that in. But since we're taking this departure, if we look here on the chart, you know, we are pretty much following the departure as expected. That's exactly where we're flying. Along that coastline up to Peterhead Lane, so very, very accurate on the flying side. As expected. You won't always get it perfect, but you know, that's pretty damn close. You see Bridget Dunn there, which is where we flew. Van Noor, and then hopefully Hackley Head should pop up on the map. Maybe it's not listed. Pressurization climbing at 500 feet a minute as expected. We're actually doing pretty well on performance side of things. Speed has been decent. We could put a little bit more torque in there. Anti-ice is already on the engine, so we'll leave that on. And then again, it is... Are we expecting ice today? Let's check the weather conditions down here. It doesn't say anything about en route icing. Just says it's dry. I suppose we are getting into summer though, and we expect that. So let's get the engine anti-ice off. Didn't see much of a change in performance there at all. I think we're now far enough out that we can... I mean, we are doing this even though there's no ATC, but we probably don't have to do this. We can go direct. We can go direct to Wick from this location. Now if we go down here, we can select navigation mode on. I'll use the Honeycomb Bravo for it. And in terms of runways, we just, again, because the flight plan doesn't allow you to do arrivals and departures en route, it only allows you to do an arrival and departure at 2 airports, not at multiple airports. That means we'll have to just base our runway off of the wind. As I say, it will be IFR flying for the moment, but then visual when we get into the area. And we probably don't have much time here either before we have to descend. 16,000 feet and then 13,000 feet was what estimated to come into Wick. Alright, we can test the minimum thing if we hold it. That's pretty cool. What else can we test? There's a timer there. We need to set minimum, so let's do that. Still need to sign a key for it. There has to be an easy way to do that. There has to be an easy way. You can see it's just right down there. And you can change the layout based on your preferences, which is nice. You know, you're going to have wind, and wind is coming up now, it's 32 knots. So we just about set decision height to 200 feet. Temperature's just about at 0. We are in fact going through clouds, so we probably do need those anti-ices on. And to the charts, let's see what we got going on at Wick Airport. Okay, over Papa Charlie. So we have one QNH of 1010, and in terms of the layout, I think I've been here before, and it's all right, but it's quite a complicated approach if you decide to do a proper one. So it is in there 113. Looks like there might be an ILS there as well. It's saying Wick there 113 decimal, I think 69, is it? 113.6. Okay, that's already tuned in. And we are in fact already picking it up on there, so decent. And of course turbulent conditions. None of these Scottish flights go well in terms of weather. It's always rough up here, and that's what makes it a challenge. You know, you're flying emergency missions, the Scottish Air Ambulance, and you have just getting there is an achievement itself. The doors closed. We don't want to see the pilots. Pilots certainly don't want to see the people in the back when they're trying to fly a plane. Altitude is pre-selected. We're still climbing though. We might as well slow down our climb a little bit. ITT is actually really well behaved, and we have got ice. Yeah, ice is building up on the windshields. Did I put window heat on? No, I didn't. Let's get window heat on to normal. Probably need the prop ice on as well. It's building up on the wings a little bit. So this is what happens when you fly through clouds in Scotland. You pretty much get ice and snow formation immediately. Prop and window heats, we do a single surface de-ice. And just hope that we get above these clouds. Now, when we get to cruise, you turn the auto feather off and the prop sync on. I think prop sync is probably be alright to go on after takeoff. So if we check the chat list, propeller sync comes on during the climb. Okay. And then we turn off. The engine feather there somewhere. Where is it? Auto feather off at cruise. Right, I need to remember that prop sync on being on after takeoff and climb. Let's you know what, let's level off at 13,000 because we need to descend anyway. We need to descend soon anyway, and that was our last height before the airport. Let's reduce the power, so we bring those propellers back now. We're in the descent a little bit. All the way back, maybe to 1650, just bringing the torque and the ITC back a little bit as well. Yeah, we only got 60 miles. There she goes. Let me know, folks, how was my flying on the C90B? I think I am getting better as time goes on. The bigger a gap I have between flights, the more time I can put into it. But every time I come back, I do feel like it's fairly tolerable now compared to when I first flew it. It's certainly bearable compared to the default plane. The default one is just impossible to fly. Mostly because it doesn't function correctly, but that's a whole other story. Also, really appreciate the recent, follows and likes and comments. They help a lot in helping the channel out and making it worthwhile. Because even though I enjoy this and I can do this for free, which is how I'm doing it now, it is nice to get that little reward of people commenting and liking. It's nice to have that feedback. So I really, really appreciate it. And for those who are watching on replay mode, I see you. I see you out there. Get relaxed, get your popcorn, the drinks, and yeah, just have a nice time. You are all welcome. Anytime. We can shake that ice off the window wipers if we move them. I mean, if we put them in slow with ice on, surely they'd break. Ah, there they go, they broke. They've cracked the ice off. I think we should keep window heat on the high then for the moment. And temperature in the cabin is not really affected actually by outside factors, which is interesting. Just crank it down a little bit as well. Now this electric heat ground max, I have used it on the ground before, but I don't 100% understand the functionality of it. I was under the impression it might be for like the cargo area or the back. The cargo area in this plane is pretty much non-existent. You just have a small space back there for some cargo like hand baggage and things. Turn the auto further off, didn't I? You only really turn the prop sync off on approach and auto feather on approach. Now I have to remember that it's on the departure and the approach that I changed them. Let's get going down. Then we'll go down to 6,000 feet. Again, really short hop there from Dyce to Wick. And we could probably change the pressurization as well to 0. Yeah, cabin didn't really get that high. I think we'd be fine even if we didn't pressurise at this altitude. Com 1 and Com 2, we've not received any comms yet. This is unusual actually. I think we're the only ones. We've got Papa Hotel Tower, but I don't think that's where we're going. Let's check the map. Papa Hotel. By the way, Kinloss Barracks and this Lossymouth. Really good little places. I did a chopper flight there and search and rescue mission in 0 visibility conditions. Absolutely insane is all I'll say. Transition altitude at the airport. Sometimes it's on the charts, sometimes it isn't. Altitude is 126 feet at Wick. Based on the wind direction, so it's coming in from the left hand side there. Maybe about 065, 070, 075 sort of on the wind. So we're probably better off going for a 3-1 for landing. Runway 31 will be the destination runway, and that should be straight in at this angle. Let's look. So sometimes you have reference charts, you have got approach charts. There's an ILS here, I believe. There's a VOR for runway 31. Let's see that. Quite complicated actually, so I guess we fly overhead the VOR, we do our procedure turn. Yeah, so overhead the DME Wick 2200, and then procedure turn down to 1800 for final. So we're category A or B today. Radial of 112. Let's just skip the approach charts, guys, and just do a visual approach in London. There's no other traffic in the area. We're not going to cause any hiccups. How are we doing on descent? Let's descend down to 5,000 feet. And the final approach height, we can see that on the chart, is probably going to be 1,800 feet. This is good. We'll go off the side. Let's switch to heading mode, and that way we can guide ourselves out and then back into the runway as required. That's 10,000 feet. We're going to go down to 1010, which is the QNH. We're going to do our recognition lights. Oh, they're already on. My mistake. They're already on. Forgot about them. We will do our landing lights and taxi lights, though, nice and early. Auto ignition is armed. Fuel is sufficient for, you know, a go round. We've got enough fuel here to last us to Scatsa Airport. And we slow down to our approach speed of about 101 knots. Down to 3,000 feet. Turning inbound now, so I'm going to select on here actually the approach. Let's see, Echo. No, we can't. We can only do the final destination. I was going to say select the approach of Wick, and maybe give us a visual on the GNS. There's the Wick DME. We are 31 miles out, so we're going to keep our arrow at that angle for now until we get visual of the runway. We got to brake for the clouds a little bit for this. I'm going to turn prop eyes off for the approach. And the eyes can stay on the engines because we're going to be taxiing with that on as well. Pressurization is coming back to, you know, 0 now because the cabin's set to 0. We'll do the enunciation recall, but I don't think it's a requirement in this plane. And try and get down a little bit quicker. So the King Air is not exactly known for descending super quick. You'd be lucky to get 1,800 feet a minute. Props, I'll put them fully forward. Let's do the approach checklist. So alter further to arms, prop sync coming off. Landing lights on, taxi lights are on. There's a feet to go. Altitude select should be already armed. Ready to intercept the altitude. Hey, towards the airport now, and we'll see what's going on, see if we can see the runway. Usually there's a quick key. Hold on a sec, let me try this. Where's the runway quick key? I have no idea. No idea what that was. We were inside of a bloody submarine then. Aircraft carrier. Looks like we're too far from the runway to get a quick camera on it. Course of 307 as well. It's about there. And the ILS, is there an ILS here? I keep thinking there is, but yes, there is no ILS. For some reason I thought there was. How peculiar. We are going the right direction. This should hopefully line up with the centre when we're on track for the runway. We're at 3,000 feet. Let's make sure we don't stall. Let's go down to 2,000 feet. We're now 140. Let's drop a notch of flaps. I'm going to do slight turns here to intercept the runway course. Only ever so slightly. Let's see if we can set 1800 on there. No, we can't. So there's our real altitude, 2100 feet. So it is in fact in line with the QNH, which is decent. Sometimes it can be misaligned. And 2000 feet, quite low down. You see all these little turbines in the water. So that is actually sim heaven, I think putting them in there. That is not actually default scenery. At least Scotland puts them in the right places. Remember that airport at Wales? Carnarvon or something? That had a turbine literally right next to the runway. At least these guys put it in the sea where it can't cause anybody to crash into it. Blimey, we'll have to go back to Carnarvon or whatever it is and try that airport out again. And I think we're actually picking up the NDB. Yeah, we're picking up the ADF there for Kirkwall, which is interesting. Didn't expect to get it that quick. Interesting. I was going to say right autofeather on the right, but not the left. They must be out of sync a little bit, these throttles. Individual like lever management is always trickier than doing it as two at once. Come on, runway, reveal yourself to me. Yeah, zero visibility. Let's double check what it says on here for weather. Sometimes it's alright, sometimes it's inaccurate. 230 at 13, well, we'll be moving on limits, currently over limit at 30 knots, well past our crosswind maximum. So scattered 2,000 feet and we're at 2,000 at the moment, and it looks pretty accurate. Broken at 4,300. Yeah, and then it's saying 15 and 11 there on the temperature, which is again accurate. It's just this thing is a concern. The scattered at 2,000 and broken at 4,300. Our go round altitude will be about 4,000 feet. We'll select it to 16 because we're going to be continuing to Kirkwall at that altitude. Pray we can actually see something. Either on trim and the rudder trim is actually doing something which is decent. And is at the airport, so I'm waiting for it on the GNS more than anything. I'm going to select, no, I was going to say select 1,000 feet. We'll do vertical speed. And we'll descend at like 200 feet a minute just to get down to 1,800 feet. And maybe break through this 2,000 feet scattered clouds that we've got. Absolutely brutal. Past 1,800, we're not out of it yet. We can see land though. Blimey, I didn't think Wick would be so challenging. It's been a while since I've been here, but still, guys, still. Alright, boys, lock in, strap on. We're about to do this. Let's turn the head into 307, I believe it is. We should now be intercepting the course of the runway. We might be missing it. Let's take control. Let's turn the autopilot and the yaw damper off. At least that way we'll be able to see the runway ourselves. So we are slightly off to the left according to the map. Filthy, filthy windows. I think I can see it. I think I can see the airport. Okay, good. I can see the airport. We're a little bit off. We were quite off there by quite a way, actually. What we're going to do is change that to direct Kirkwall, because that'll be our next stop. If you can't see it, ladies and gentlemen, the airport is actually just right there. It's just not got any lights on it. Wick is not exactly the most popular place either in terms of aviation. So you can see we climb back up to 2,000 here because we need the extra altitude for the approach. Yeah, there's never anyone else up here. I'm always on my own in Scotland actually a lot of the time. It feels like it. I know there are people flying here, but they're not flying on the online networks. Alright, props already full forward, believe it or not. So what do we need to do now? We are... Anybody tell me? What do we need to do now? What have we forgotten? Ah, that's right, the landing gear. We're within 5 miles. We'll do the landing gear. We'll wait till we slow down below 140 for the last notch of flaps. And we should be able to begin a steady descent rate. So I'm going to just leave the power where they are and just try and, well, reduce it back a bit and then leave it where it is so we don't have too much input. You see, we're already descending too fast, so we need another notch of flaps. That'll create drag and help boost the lift at the same time. I mean, although it's correct, I mean, I am waffling on a bit now. It is correct to think that flaps create drag, which is true. But that's not their primary purpose. The primary purpose is to increase the surface area of the wing and therefore generate more lift at lower speeds. And when they generate more lift because of that wider wing area, they also reduce the stall speed. So you could go at stall speed with no flaps as stall, and then you add flaps and you can go a lot lower than it. I think in a Cessna it's around 50, maybe 55 or something like that, or 60. It's not very high at all, and they can bring it down to 48 knots with flaps. Here we are, we're coming into Wick. Everybody ignore the altitude, we're absolutely fine, we're on target. Dealing with 20 to 30 knots of crosswind here, 30 knots almost. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, I thought that was a church. What a scenic little seaside town Wick is. Wow, Scotland really has some of the most amazing beaches, doesn't it? There, we're getting bullied by this wind. Maximum crosswind component in the King Air C90 is 25 knots. And we're coming up to approach speed of 101. Remember, I'm going to add like 5 knots onto that for the wind. You would do that in an airliner, but in a smaller plane like this, it really does help as well. Again, we're not doing an ILS, so the puppy lights there are not of use to us. We're aiming for the numbers. We'll continue, we're not doing too bad. Very, very windy all over the place actually. And remember, keep the power in so you don't slam down like a pancake. There we are, there's the numbers, so we reduce it a little bit, we don't idle them. 10. Okay, then idle at low ground level, then put them in reverse mode. Or beta mode. Well, welcome to Wick Airport. First stop on our long journey to Scatsa in Scotland. Absolutely amazing landing. Let's get the flaps up. We'll vacate the runway and we'll backtrack the taxiway if we can do. Let's reduce our mixtures to low idle here. Yeah, all over the place. That's one thing about this plane that I am not keen on actually. Like the landing will be alright. That was okay. That was acceptable. But then when you taxi down the runway, it tends to lose control. I don't know what it is, whether it's a feature of the aircraft or whether it's like that. Right, we missed the taxiways. Guess it'd be a right hand turn here at Wick. Or maybe, is it a left hand turn? Where are we in relation to the terminal? Quite literally nothing here, so I think we just have to play it safe and go left hand side. Nope, it's completely closed. I think we might have to backtrack the runway, boys. Yeah, it looks like we have to. All the taxiways there are closed off. Well, we turned the lender lights off. We are now touched down. We could probably turn the... No, we'll leave it all on. We're going to just backtrack and take off immediately. If that was the right choice. It felt like the right choice. We still had 11 knots on final. There it is over there, Wick's little terminal. It does accommodate commercial aircraft. There is some, what I assume is ATRs up there. Now, Scatsa Airport, it is permanently closed. It's been modelled in X-Plane 12, but it seems like also a general aviation airport. I mean, technically, the way it's placed, it would be a commercial one as well, because people have obviously got to get there somehow, and they've got to receive parcels and things. There are boats available, there are planes, but in general it's closed off. Okay folks, let's get a turn round. We didn't have to go on a taxiway after all. Here on the ground, let's look for the windsock. We may have to do an ailerons. Yeah, ailerons to the left because we got a left-hand crosswind. That'll counteract the fact that we might roll off the runway, so that can happen on a crosswind. If you don't apply ailerons into the wind, the plane will flip over. Come on, straighten up, King Air. Right, GA button is being pressed. Should now go to 10 degrees. We're going to pre-select altitude. We're going to select the altitude pressurization to 16,000 feet. Welcome in. If you are just joining, good to see you. And we should be checking the NDB, which is already tuned in, and we are in fact picking it up, so we can now get rid of the VOR. We're no longer tracking Wick. But in fact we'll keep it on because it's going to point the same direction and confuse me a little bit more. We'll keep one of those on. Down to beta into alpha, mixture's fully forward. Water further is armed. The landing lights are on, the taxi lights are off. All the anti-ice is on. Fuel level is decent. We're not really burning much today. Oh, this is good. Let's just turn the temperature down a tiny bit. It's around 70 to 80, which is where I like to have it. I actually like 65 to 70. It's a bit better for these longer flights when we're fully packed up. Let's get going. So, line up. We've got 118 climb out speed. I have to keep that in mind. Ailerons to the left. Flight controls free and correct. Anyone else remember what we're missing? Can you tell me what we're missing in chat, or perhaps in the replay video? That's right, well done. Second quiz of the day, you got it right. We are missing the trim, so we meant to neutralise the trim before takeoff. It's actually already pretty much there, so we're going to do it slightly to the higher end of 0 today. Flaps are retracted, advance the throttles, keep the ITT and torque in mind, and let's go. Brakes released. Airspeed is live. 60 knots. We should have a rotation. Okay, nice and smooth. Landing gears coming up, positive rate of climb. We'll follow this heading for now till we get to about 1,000 feet. ITT and torque getting a little bit higher at the moment. Right, we're airborne, we're in the climb, so let's go ahead and stick our yaw damper on. Propeller sinks. Propeller sink coming on. We can get it on. There's 1,000, so landing lights could come off. We're going to go for a vertical speed and a heading mode initially, but we're not going to turn autopilot on just yet. I just want to get on course before we engage it. I just realised we didn't watch the replay. I guess when we get to Scatsa, we'll watch the replay for the landing, or maybe we can do it before then. There we are, so we're kind of on the heading we want. Let's try and get it a bit more perfect. Now we can engage the autopilot. So if we engage it, we'll be expecting 1,600 feet a minute, which is kind of where we're at now, and at a course of about 3001. So autopilot on, you can see there it's transitioned to autopilot with no issues. Fantastic. Climbing, positive pressure climbing the cabin. We'll turn the recognition lights off early today. Traffic is low. We can use this if we want to follow. So there's Wick. We could have used that for the distance. I guess we don't need it. Now we're on course, we can go to navigation, and that should take over pretty well. And it should just do a minor correction onto the pink line. And of course, standard pressure, 013. A absolutely stunning aircraft. So we've done our first full stop landing. The next airport is going to be Kirkwall, where we're going to be doing a touch and go. That's right, a touch and go. And you're probably wondering, why would the Scottish Air Ambulance do that? Well, it's just to perfect our piloting skills, which is exactly what pilots do. We're not on a time critical mission, but we are on a mission where we have to deliver medical personnel. So we do have a little bit of leeway here, plus we're contracted out, and there's nothing in the contract that says that we can't do it. Plenty of pilots who are contracted out, by the way, who fly GA planes, do practice go-rounds and do practice missed approaches. Because, you know, that's how they make a living. They have to do those things. if they don't stay proficient in things like touch and goes and missed approaches, then when it comes to actually doing one and when they need to do a go round, they might be lost. They might forget what they're meant to do. The procedures aren't straightforward. You have, in a turbine engine like this, you have multiple items to go through. So we have the whole approach procedure, landing procedure checklist, missed approach checklist, go round checklists, climb checklist. You know, you have to do them all in a very short amount of time. Then you have to do, you know, rehearse and practice for an engine failure, and you have to practice emergency checklist and know what to do in these memory items. It really isn't. It's not easy on commercial or twin piston aircraft like this, where you've twin gas turbine engine aircraft, because you have to do a lot. It does get easier in time though. I say that like I know it. I do know a lot of the checklists off by heart. But the emergency checklists, they're not really available most of the time. So you have to just use common sense. And follow, for example, the engine procedure, failure procedures for a twin piston in a gas turbine. You know, you have to secure the engine and things, and well, we need to use that when we need to. Anyway, 16,000 feet, we're climbing pretty steadily today. Engine anti-ice will stay on. The torque is good. Prop ice will come on. Let's do a single surface de-ice. We'll probably climb a little bit shallower than this, so maybe about 1,400 feet a minute. Okay, this is classed as the final one. Oh no, I forgot about that. It does in fact have a line going to it. And there's the traffic appearing on the radar just over to the left hand side, but we can't see him at all. 1,600 feet higher than us. So down here we might be able to select an approach. I guess we'll have to use charts for this. If we go Papa Alpha, Kirkwall. Got a few runways here now. Wind is 230 at 14 knots, so that means we'll be landing on runway 27, which is an ILS category 1. Course of 268, 39 feet, and it's 4,000 feet long. Broken clouds at 500 feet. Scottish Air Ambulance has really put me in a tricky situation. Gamma Aviation. 500 feet is going to be extremely challenging. We're going to be doing a minimums approach, I think. Broken at 4,800. Temperature's not too bad. And then 1010 on QNH. So ILS is 110. Basically just 1010. And that tune is into the localizer. What have we got here? So approach ILS 27, category A, B and C. So we are approved for this kind of approach. Okay, we got quite a lot here. 108.6 for, I'm assuming, the VOR. It's interesting because I couldn't find that one on Sky Vectors. Okay, so it looks like we are going to have to do like a fly over the VOR at 26. Yeah, so another procedure turn kind of approach. Overhead to 2600 procedure turn. Here, this is the procedure turn. Or maybe, excuse me, here, this side. Okay, well, we do what we did last time and try and fly overhead, perhaps do a visual approach overhead and then try and do the heading onto final. 108.6, we'll try and get that in on number 2. It should come alive. So we are picking it up. Runway 27. If we got on the airport layout. I don't think we have to worry too much because the ILS is there. That'll just guide us down to the runway. Very, very short runway though at Kirkwall. Very, very short. It's, I say that, look at the size of it. On the map it looks absolutely tiny. Oh well, it's only a touch and go. I think maybe we can get back in the air by this point. We'll full flaps and then we'll do a flaps up 1 notch for the go around. Altitude pre-select. We are getting some ice build up. Let's try and melt it off. Perhaps not. We got some lights on in here as well because visibility is going to be pretty poor at Kirkwall. I tell you what I'll do, folks. I'll watch the replays afterwards and then I'll combine them into a short video for you. So we have like a compilation of landings and such and goes then. What's the aircraft doing? Are we overhead already? Blimey, we are overhead Kirkwall already. That was so quick. Oh my god, I didn't realise we were there. Wick to Kirkwall is, we didn't even have to go to 16,000. I thought it was going to take longer than that. Well, I guess we're overhead, folks. The aircraft will just circle overhead. That's pretty handy. So there's runway 27. This is going to work out, actually. So let's use the heading mode. Let's just keep turning opposite direction to runway 09. Wow, that was so quick. I'm genuinely in shock right now. We could have brought our props back. Let's bring them back. What happened there with the engines? Let's bring the torque back as well, and then the props back to about 1630. And we'll descend down to 4,000 feet. Wow, excuse me for taking so long to realise. That is a bit of a problem, isn't it? Right, but leave the cabin pressurisation where it is, because we're actually going to do it in touch and go, so we can go directly back up to 16,000. 09. Are we going on the right course here? No, we're not. We need to be on 09, which is there. At least the plane was smart enough to figure out that it needed to circle the area. That was nice, you know, it did the outbound and then came back for the inbound, didn't it? Okay, so now we're going down and get ready for London. Let's set, you know what, let's set the QNH now so we don't forget. And we could probably get maybe 2,000 feet a minute if we're lucky. See if the signs are on. Cabin temperature did come down a bit more, which is decent. Do we really need cabin lights on? Probably not. I wish there was a coffee service on this plane though. Now the ILS is down there, so if we switch over to CDI, that's going to give us, as you can see there, the ILS localizer. So we have to turn that to runway 27 ourselves, which is something I like about this plane. You have to actually turn the course of the ILS. It's free course, so 268 unlike some other planes which do it itself. So we're exactly opposite now, which is exactly what we need, or at the opposite end we can keep turning around and try and descend a little bit quicker as well. Yeah, there we go on the outbound. Downwind, very extended on the downwind side of things. Recognition lights. I won't do the taxi and landing lights till we get to 2,000 feet, so we keep going down 2,000 feet. Remember, the approach chart says the altitude on it, so we'll go back down here. We can see we're not going to double with this turn here. We just go down to 2,000 because that's what it says there. That's the easier way to do it, folks. And there we are. Now if we look on here, we can see there's the center thing for runway 27. See, we are on course. If we could have come in and done Rudku, I guess, if there's that kind of arrival there. It's actually looking not too bad. If we select approach now, it should lock on. So you can see there, it's not locked on yet. It has come up as flashing white, which means it's ready to engage. And that means when we intercept the localizer, it will turn green, and therefore the plane has intercepted the localizer frequency and glide path, etc. Which sometimes are at the same time. It depends, because we're descending late today, it'll probably be at the same time. Going dark as well. It's starting to get dark and gloomy, so we've got that 500 feet clouds to worry about. Let's do props fully forward nice and early. Let's do the prop sync off. So localizer is illuminated green, which we've intercepted it without any issues. Just waiting for the glide slope, but again we are pretty high up at the moment. We might even miss it. We may miss it, so we may have to go around again, in which case we use our heading mode and we'll circle round again, which is not an issue. But in such conditions, we ideally want to be down as soon as possible. In fact, we can slow our descent now. We've established that we're a little bit too high. Times like this, boys, that I generally question my decisions in life. Never thought I'd be going to Kirkwall and zero visibility. These are real places, though, I'd love to go back to. Scotland, always superb experience. Absolutely, and these little islands that are scattered up past Wick and Kirkwall, etc. These are really... Now, granted, there's not much to do there, but they are hidden little gems, you know, that you find. I believe they're called the Shetlands. I hope I'm saying that correctly, the Shetlands. Yeah, that's where we'll be flying to, Shetlands. Right, we're turning back to final. Now we should be able to press the approach button and it should be able to find... I can see turbines again in the distance. Should be able to find it though. If we press nav first, for example, it will get the localizer, and then if we press approach, it will get the glide slope. That's why I always press the approach first, guys, because it does both at once. It prepares the systems at once. Okay, there we are, about 2,000 feet. Now hopefully we've come in at the right angle. Maybe we've not. Maybe we've ballsed this up a little bit. So there's our circle. We'll keep turning, do just as needed. Let's get a notch of flaps. Come on, glide slope and localizer. You see, there we are. We're slightly off, I guess. That was not a bad 360 turn, to be fair. I've done worse than that in the past. There's the runway. Okay, this is good. Let's get a little bit more off to the left to get ready for that localizer to engage. Once he further his arms. I'm going to turn the yaw damper off. And then we'll get ready to turn the autopilot off. Landing lights and taxi lights on. Props and mixtures fully rich. We have sufficient fuel there for a go round, but it is only a touch and go. We're having enough fuel there to continue on to final destination of Scatsa Airport. Let's just descend a little bit as well, in case we're not able to intercept because we're a little bit high. You know what, autopilot off. Let's have a little bit of fun since we've got a tiny bit of visibility there. Let's go full flaps and gear down. Yeah, very, very high on this one. Kirkwall traffic, Golf Sierra Alpha Sierra Dental is short final for a touch and go runway 27. That 360 was not bad, but I think maybe we need to extend the downwind on that kind of turn, so when we're here, go downwind a little bit further before we turn back. I was at 2,000 feet, but it's really high up here for some reason. It seems to be... I don't know where the glide slope was on that thing. Localizer we found. Let's go back to the GPS for the guidance system. Coming in for 101 knots. This is good. Autopilot is disengaged. Let's click the go around button. Ready for the go around. Now we're going to retract a flap notch. We're on the ground. We don't need to go into beta. There we are, we're getting nice and slow, so we need to bring back our pitch actually, because the higher the pitch, the higher the angle of attack. And that is what we need at slow speeds. There we are, still a little bit high. We'll continue. Needing a heck of a lot of trim today. I hope the trim's working actually on my blooming Honeycomb Alpha. A little bit past the numbers. Really slow actually, a bit too slow. There we are, get ready to flare, bring them back to idle. This is a really bad touchdown at the moment. And we're down, so flaps up a notch. Props forward. ITT's in the green, torque's in the green, 80 knots. Rotate. And we're up again, gents. Landing gear coming up. That was a good touch and go, I think, at Kirkwall. Actually, pretty good. We're going to do a left-hand turn out. I'm going to get on our sweet merry way to final destination. We will drop some of these doctors and things, because they've still got a mission up there to complete. And as you can see, we're actually climbing pretty well at about 115 to 118 knots, which is what we're aiming for. So climb checklist, the prop sinks, yaw dampers, and we'll leave the anti-ice on for now. Landing and taxi lights can come off. Flaps going up to full up. Now we can increase our speed a little bit. Let's go navigation mode, and we'll go vertical speed mode as well. And we'll go autopilot nice and early on this one, just to save our arms a bit of power. Should be hitting about 1800 feet a minute. Wow, that was not too bad. That was really, I'm really impressed with that. We had a nice headwind as well. So yeah, I guess lesson learned, you know, we did come overhead, which was how we expected to do it. This is where things were okay, but not acceptable. I think 2,000 feet, maybe at this distance was alright, but at this distance it was a bit too close. We should have probably been on the descent to the glide slope by that point. Anyway, up we go. We got 16,000 feet. We're going to pre-select it by doing that on the Honeycomb Bravo, and it won't level off until we press altitude select. 16,000 feet is indeed set. And there's the path we need to be on, so I'm going to go over to, well, we stay on navigation mode and just wait for it to intercept it. So direct to officially a closed airport. It's going to be interesting to see what's there. Now, there is an airport there, as I say, but I don't really know what else is there in terms of aircraft, that is. Mission is a good one. Mission Impossible. And the usual suspects, 1013. Technically 10,000 feet for the recognition lights. But I would only obey by the rules if we were flying with other aircraft. I guess there's one nearby, but it's not too close. Climbing about, yeah, we got a good climb speed here now. We got a little bit of a tailwind as well, which is going to help push us through some of this rough weather. And I'm hoping when we get to Scatsa, we have good visibility. Now, the cloud level there at Kirkwall was nowhere near 500 feet. We were well clear of that before we got down to it. So it's a closed airport. I've just realised there won't be any live weather there because there's nobody going out of it. I'll have to base it on looking out the window. Maybe this thing up here can help us. If the wind's going to stay at that direction though, it would be runway 6 for landing. Alright guys, sit back, relax, enjoy the last sector, the last leg of our flight. Yeah, there's no charts available either. It is a pretty big runway though when it's it has got parking there. I was hoping to get VOR or something. There is no real, but there's nothing because it's closed. You can't even get it off Sky Vectors. So it really is just a shot in the dark in terms of finding this place. And for those who live in Scotland, perhaps in this part, we are going past E-Day Sound, Sunday Sound, Stronsay just over to our sort of southeast. We've just been over Stronsay Firth, and we're approaching Sunday, the North Sound. Final destination today, up in the Shetlands, as I said. There's a few airports up there. Maybe we should have gone to Echo Golf Papa Bravo instead. What's their final destination? Scatsa Airport. Literally approaching the ends of the earth here, almost as far north as Norway, dare I say it. We're actually really close to Norway there as well. And Oslo control especially. Yes, we got ice, anti-ice on windows high. It doesn't tend to affect the window wipers. I don't really know how to clean the window wipers off. They have got ice built up on the wings. I'm hoping 16,000 is going to get us past all this mess. Remember guys, we've got a ceiling here. We have got a ceiling in this checklist at the beginning of it, which is useful. I wish there was a way to get like an index there so we can get back to the beginning quickly. Maybe X checklist can implement that in the future. Have an indexes. They do on some, but not always on everything. I'm just looking specifically for the max cruise. So there's our reference airspeed at 4185 kg. What are we weighing today in terms of weight? We are within limitations today. We have ramp weight subtotal was not meant to exceed 4,600. So we're underneath that. Probably for takeoff as well. Total weight. Total landing weight 3872. It does actually say there do not exceed 3354 kg, which is that's not well. That's kind of close, I guess. I was going to say we could use that. So specifications. Maximum cruise. Service ceiling 28,000 feet. I guess we could push it up to 20,000 if we need to, but we've already broke out of it anyway. There it is, boys and girls. And there's definitely a mild tailwind as well. So how far have we got? 78 miles. That is nothing. That will be 10 minutes to the absolute most. There is a weather thing there as well, so I thought we could put it on here. I just forgot where it was. Arc and map. Let's try that. So it should pop up on the radar now at the same time. I thought I'd used it before. So we've got the map, which is working, and then like arc. So you see that weather radar thing popping up on the flight direct on the map there. The whatever that thing is called, the PFD, I guess. There's nothing displaying on it because we're above the clouds, but if we tilt it down, there doesn't seem to be an option there. There's a ring there though. We can change the scale of it to 40, or we can change it down to 10. Ah, there we go. We are picking it up a little bit. Really, really cool little feature actually, but a tiny instrument. You barely see anything on it. Anyway, 1,000 feet to go. We've pre-selected altitude select. I feel like turning autohover off pretty early today, so we'll do it before we get to cruise. ITT is in fact getting near the red zone finally. It's taken a while. And fuel flow we're going to be reducing probably below 200. There she is. Let's bring those props back to a 1700 for this one. You actually see there the ITT wasn't too affected, but we do get a little bit more torque though when we reduce those props back. I'll reduce the torque as well because we don't want to overspeed here. Maybe about 1200 will be alright. And that's everything then for the cruise. The cruise checklist is already complete. Pressurization was good. Barely at 5,000 internally. Cabin temperature, again, not really be changing much today. It seems to on the 70 Fahrenheit throughout the entire flight. Even I'm changing the cabin temperature on there. Maybe we can stick the blower on a little bit. That on low on the blowers. Let's go ahead and get some info on this airport. Fascinated by it. It was a commercially operated airport on the island of mainland of the Shetlands, located 70 nautical miles north of Lerwick. It was once a vital hub for the North Sea oil and gas industries. Wow, that is a long time since I've heard that, ladies and gentlemen. You know how I'm always touching on the state of the United Kingdom's like export and import business, and what I mean is when I say that is that the United Kingdom just imports too much. We don't really do any of our own energy anymore, which I really think needs to change. So again, we can see another victim of this. Was once a vital hub for the North Sea oil and gas industries. Well, they've obviously gone now, they no longer exist. Or at least they've been sold off so that we don't have our own energy supplier anymore. The airport permanently closed in 2020, so not that long ago really, during the height of the pandemonium a couple of years ago. After the logistics contracts were moved to Sunburg Airport. Yeah, so being hit quite badly look in the Shetlands in terms of industries and losing jobs most likely. Unfortunate, it's a little bit of a sad story, you know. I guess that's just the way it is though, we can't do much about it now. The airport was first developed in 1940's RAF Scatsa, a Royal Air Force fighter plane base to support Coastal Command flying boat operations of RAF Southern Voe, and the most northerly base in the British Isles. Construction started in spring 1940 with 2 runways, one of which was 1,300 yards long on a heading of 130 degrees. You get the point. The first runway was opened and completed in 1941. The main contract of the construction aerodrome was the Zetland County Council. Don't know if anybody's interested in that, but that's I guess that makes sense. They wanted to prepare for war, and there was war during the 1940s, as we know. In 1944, though, Scatsa was used to support base and diversion point for Lancasters from 617 Squadron, the famous dam busters led by Wing Commander J.B. Tate. Operation, excuse the pronunciation, is it Catechism? Was bombed and sank the Tirpitz near the island of Tromsø. Wow, I hope my pronunciation is correct there. That is a fascinating story. I have read a book on the Tirpitz, the German boat that is, and the Tirpitz was one of the strongest submarines in the war, World War II. I didn't realise Scatsa had such an important role in the war. That is insane. This is quite a big place in terms of history. Historically speaking, we're flying to a gold mine. It was the diversion point for the Lancaster's dam busters. That is incredible, and we all know the dam busters. We all know those if we've read our history and we've learned about it. But the Tirpitz, that was something I didn't know about. Incredible. After World War II and after those magnificent victories, Scatsa Aerodrome lay dormant except for the landing of US Coast Guard Hercules in 1969. In connection with the Lorra Navigation Station, which had been established in the northwest end of the runway. Absolutely fascinating. I'm really glad I found that out actually. That's a nice Friday night piece of gold right there. A bit of treasure for you all. Sunburg Airport. Ah, Sunburg Cape, we're just going past that now, so that is where the contract was taken from Scatsa. Sunburg is just off to our right hand side, so this is where it was sent, and this is where all the jobs would have been after that contract moved. There's Wick, and there she is, ladies and gents. She does in fact exist. Runways, so it says 06, it looks like it's going to be a 24 for landing. We might as well get descending already and get prepped for this landing. So let's go over to, in fact, did they have an ILS here? Let's check. No, so it really is a visual approach today. Let's go over to the heading mode and we'll get ready for the descent. So heading slightly up to the right. Let's get rid of the weather radar. We don't want it blocking our radar thing so we can see our map. We want this thing up. And we'll select approach height, probably initially of 5,000 feet. And get those torque propellers back, throttles back a little bit. Pressurization back to 0. My mistake, ladies and gentlemen. I think the Tirpitz was not a submarine. I thought it was for some reason. Maybe it was. It says it's a German battleship, so it was a battleship, just to be clear. Not a submarine. And there's a small chat quiz there. Hopefully I can get the quiz results today. I apologise, last time I put one in, the quiz disappeared before I had a chance to see the results. Next flight for the King Air C90B, it will probably be in Scotland, and it will either be from Scotland to Norway from Scatsa Airport, right over the sea, or we can go from Barrow Beach to Glasgow and possibly back again. Again, not a depiction of the next stream, but the next stream, the King Air, will be one of those two. How are we doing here on altitude? We're not getting down very quick, are we? Let's go for a 1800 feet a minute. At least we're below 180, that's the main thing. I always get concerned when I overspeed in this, so even though we're under speed, like if we go over 180, I feel like the wings might shear off sometimes. Holy Jesus, they might actually shear off. We're full of ice, folks. We are full of ice. Come on, mouse, don't fail me now. There it goes. Blast of heat. Again, we're getting nice and early prepared for this one because this is going to be tricky. Tricky. Window heat is on high. What else can we do? I guess we could do defrost. That might help a little bit. Defrost air on. We could heat the cabin up a little bit more as well. We click increase on there. That should increase the cabin temperature, which, you know, might help ice build up and prevent it from getting on the windows and things. You see there are certain areas of the engines that can't be cleared. The same with the nose. You can't clear ice from them, but they're not detrimental to a lift. So it's usually the wings you have to be concerned about. Lift is obviously generated through the wings, not the nose of the aircraft. Although the nose has a small impact if you want to get picky about it. We're running out of fuel. What's going on here? So we've run out of fuel. They said low fuel transfer. Low... Left, no fuel transfer. Okay, maybe a... Right, we have had failures. So we've had a... Window heat's failed. Is that because we put the cabin defrost air on? I wonder. That means we've got to get down because everything... Oh, the anti-ice is failing. Right side and left side, and then window heat, co-pilot and window heat. That ain't good, is it? That is not good at all. Right, let's cheat. Let's get the Q&H. So we'll be looking at 11,500 feet. We're below the clouds this time, which is decent. 5 knots. Very mild up here at Scatsa Airport. 1006 on the Q&H. I think we'll be alright without the window heat. I've flown without them before. It doesn't tend to cause issues. It might result in a nice build-up, but we're alright for the time being. 1,000 feet to go. Altitude pre-select is on. We have depressurised, I hope. Yeah, getting down to 0 feet internally. Have you seen that as well? The ignition's coming on as well. That's why we've got auto ignition armed. Blimey, these are rough conditions. Absolutely rough. Okay, 5,000 feet. I'm going to keep going down to 4,000 feet. You know what they say, the lower the altitude, probably the more dangerous it is, so we can go down to 3,000. I had this issue at Barrow Beach. You do have to get a little bit dangerous just to get for the cloud level. And then as soon as you got visual, yeah, you're at sufficient altitude. I'd say 2,000 feet is probably as low as I'd go at Barrow, to be fair. As soon as you see it, you're good to go. If you can't see it by 2,000, yeah, good luck to you. Looks like we got one parking space over at Alpha, and then there's a main apron stand there. I think there probably will be planes there. We want to be downwind, so we need to ideally get close to the runway as well. We are sort of heading in that direction. We need to see it visually. I think that will put my mind at ease. .6 nautical miles. We're getting closer, anyhow. We're getting closer. Absolutely, we're in the roughest part right now. That rough weather we showed you at the beginning, those green patches. Thankfully, it's just cloud and a little bit of ice and some rain possibly. But when we get out of it, we should be pretty much instantly in a minute. Then again, it's kind of bordering right on the airport area. Wolsey's clear off to the right. Yell Sound looks clear and Coldgrave Sound is clear. That could be a good alternate airport actually, somewhere up there. What have we got going on? We still got warnings going off. Anything else failed? No, it's still the same. .10,000 feet, you know what that means, folks. Recognition lights should be on. I think in these kind of conditions you'd probably turn the strobes off actually when you're in the clouds. Well, at least that's the way it is on the twin pistons. Probably just applies to most general aviation aircraft, to be fair. How are we doing on crosswind? I feel like we're slowing down. We have got a tailwind, but I feel like we're not really getting anywhere with it. There she is. Don't know how high this altitude is because we've not got any charts, so the altitude of the terrain could be a couple of 100 feet, could be a couple of thousand. We really don't know yet. That's actually why we got the map thing down here, which we can use. Looks pretty clear. There's something coming up there which could be a problem. It's coming up yellow as well. Okay, so there's a bit of a ridge and a peak over there. Let's keep this open because this has actually got the radar on it for the airport as well. But yeah, the terrain there looking like a concern. 200 feet minimums. Let's hope that it's enough. Well, let's slow down. So we're at 3,000. This warning keeps going off because of the transfer system. Let's get our landing lights and taxi lights on. Let's try and get a little bit lower down. Let's go for a 2,000 feet. We'll keep descending though, rather than leveling off. And we'll say the go around altitude. In fact, we'll say the go around altitude is 4,000 feet. Let's descend at about 1,200 feet a minute towards Scatsa Airport and hopefully break through this layer. X-Wing 12 itself is not showing it unless we click on clouds, as you can see, just the whole area. The whole area is screwed. Yeah, absolutely nothing yet. This has been a bit more dangerous than I expected. Imagine that for a Friday night video stream. Zero visibility. Thankfully we've got enough fuel on board, otherwise, I mean, it is coming up as low, but we've still got enough there to get us out of this situation if we need to. We still have. So there's the airport back there. Let's try and get a bit more on downwind leg, and let's try and slow down and drop a notch of flaps as well. So approach checklist. What's if ever armed? Prop sync coming off. Let's start to turn round now to final. Let's go back to the map. Now we are descending below 2,000 feet in order to see what we're actually doing. Come on, King Air C90B, do not let me down during this adventure. We come too far to fail. I'm dropping a notch of flaps, we'll level off here. And just pray to God we don't hit anything. So there we are, we're coming back round. Man, this is tense. This is tense. My hands are actually sweating right now. I am sweating like crazy. Decent solid turn. Again, it's so close. I want to be able to see. I'm kind of hoping to see like the runway there. I think we're kind of heading towards it. I think. I mean, it's there. Let's try and turn to runway 27 then. And we'll keep descending down. This is going to be a very, very interesting landing. Still got a notch of flaps in. The lights are on. We're actually ready to go in for it. But the question is, can we handle it? Haven't used X-Plane 12 map at the moment. Because this one down here is not really helping us that much. This GNS. It'd be nice. What I'm hoping is maybe in the future they can do this. They can have a way to go direct. Let's do direct and just see where it takes us. So we want to be heading in that direction. Okay. Runway 27. No approach charts, guys. This is not one of those flights. We've got land. Brilliant. Autopilot coming off. We're at 600 feet. We've intercepted land. There we are, guys. We're below cloud level. It is so bumpy right now. It is so bumpy right now. The airport is directly in front of us somewhere. The base level here, 600 feet. Oh my goodness. There's the runway, gents. We've managed it in the King Air. So let's get the gear down, full flaps. Props fully forward. Gears coming down, my autopilot friend. Come on, airport, don't vanish on me now, please. Don't vanish on me now. We just saw you. There it is. King Air is all over the place on this one. My goodness, what an impossible flipping cloud level that is. No way in hell did I expect that. It was meant to be worse at Kirkwall. And we almost crashed as well. We went 600 feet though. We were all over the place. I think we could do it now. So there she is. The closed down airport, Scatsa Airport. She still exists. She's going to welcome us with open arms after this flight. Pilot of the year after that recovery. Yeah, absolutely zero V awards, NDBs. There's absolutely no reference here for navigation at all. Other than the ICAO. And we're still contending with a 14 knot headwind as well. It's a pretty short runway too.
100. 50.
Don't slam it down. It's a little bit more controllable with a headwind actually. And there we are, beta into reverse. Cheers guys, thank you for the feedback. It has been a fantastic flight. Welcome to Kirkwall. My mistake, welcome to Scatsa Airport. An absolute legend in World War II and an absolute legendary airport. Shetland Islands are pretty unique and hidden away, as I say. It's a hidden gem. And if you ever get the chance to fly here virtually or real life, I'd say do it, because it is a one of a kind of experience. Anyway, flaps up. We're going to get taxiing back down the officially closed airport and into our parking space. What a recovery, my goodness. I thought at 600 feet we weren't going to be able to do that. I think in real life we probably couldn't, because we don't have the option of pulling up a map like that, and there's no instrument approaches here. I bet there was though when it was open. It only closed 6 years ago. Of course, mixtures to low idle or conditioners to low idle. A little bit of a skid there at the end. Right, clear of the runway. Strobes and landing lights are off. There is a few aircraft here still as expected. You know what, actually let's just stop here. The anti-ice is broken, so we might as well turn the fuel vent and the pitot heats and things off. Not much use at this point. Air condition lights off. I'm going to turn the bleed air valves off and the air conditioning off. I'm just going to turn all the air off at the moment. Let people adjust to the temperature of Scotland's Scatsa Airport, Shetlands at least. We can turn all this off down here as well. This will be the, you know, IFIS system. We don't Well, we can do that when we shut the engines, and we can do it now because it doesn't really matter. Cabin pressure is on dump as well, which is interesting. Maybe that flicked on at the end by accident. Neutralise the trim. Flaps are up. What else do we need to do? Prop de-ice. I think we leave auto further on, don't we? And there, we take the right hand turn here because there's a little bit of a space. I'm definitely going to make them into a short. First landing wasn't too bad. Then I'll combine it with that rough approach we just had. Yeah, plenty of spaces here. So commercial operations were probably... it was a really bustling airport at one point. There's so many spaces. And it is predominantly cargo as well. That'll be fine. I think we go through the white lines. I hope that's right. Parking brake coming on. Let's turn the feather off. I don't think we need that on now. Generators can come off. Inverters and avionics. I'm going to turn the ignition off. Auto ignition. The anti-ice I'm going to turn off. You don't have to. And I think the recommendation is to leave it on, but we'll turn it off. Taxi lights and nav lights. Engine shut down. No, we should have put it in alpha there before we shut it down, I think. Transfers and fuel pumps, beacon light coming off.
Glide slow. Glide slow.
That's because we're not turning this either, so auxiliary power off. So let's turn that off. Brilliant, jobs are good and we made it in Scottish Air Ambulance. Scottish Air Ambulance for Gamma Aviation. Once again, Grantham CBD just contracted out, delivering our 6 people, in this case 5 doctors. There we are, parked in a nice little space here at Scatsa at the end of the world. I will watch the replay there, folks, because we're here. Let's watch the replay. Really appreciate everyone being here for the live and appreciate everyone being here for the replay. What an amazing adventure and an incredible livery plane. Let's check this beast out. So here we are, coming through some hell of a weather. There we are, absolute cinema. Wow, that's actually a really good approach. After that, I think we just had a slight part in there where we went a little bit off. So here we are, we actually did well. So the part where we went off was over here, I think. As you can see, it gets a little bit squiggly. That's when we came through the clouds. That was all overall though, a very good landing. I really liked that landing. That was superb. I'd give it 4 out of 5. We didn't hit the centre line, but it was nice and smooth, which is what counts. I don't think there's a bulk landing. I don't think it is. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining Grantham CPTs today. Myself and Scottish Air Ambulance will return in one of those 2 flights that's been voted on. Let's go ahead and check the polls actually while you guys are still here. Whether anybody voted, I don't really know. I may be making the flight if nobody did. So 100% Scotland to Norway. I had a feeling that we were going to do that one, guys, and that's the answer. So next flight in the King Air C90B, which is definitely one of the better planes, is Scotland to Norway. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening, and I'll see you all for the next flight soon. Take care.